Hi everyone, for anyone that doesn't know me, I'm Miss Peck. I'm one of the assistant vice principals and a maths teacher here at Bridge. And today's assembly is going to be on special educational needs or additional needs. And the aims of the assembly are to recognise that there are lots of different types of additional needs. We might have a picture in our mind of what special needs means, but actually there are a number of different reasons why someone might need additional support. And to understand just how many people in our community do have some form of additional need that they need help with. And for us to think about realizing that that's nothing to be ashamed of, it's nothing that we need to whisper about or keep secret, and to feel that it's something that we can talk about. So what are special educational needs? There are four main categories. We might simply think of one or two of these, but actually there are four main categories. So cognition and learning is when someone needs support with their learning. That might be a general learning disability where someone needs support with all aspects of their development, or it could be a specific learning difficulty, something like dyslexia or dyscalculia, where students or people in general just need support with one aspect, but actually in all other areas of development there's no difficulty. Social, emotional and mental health. People might not realise that that can come under special educational needs. So maybe you need support with your well-being, and maybe that's why you're on the SEN register. And ADHD, so needing support with attention and concentration, falls under that category. Speech, language and communication needs. So maybe you need support from a speech and language therapist on stammer or pronunciation of sounds. Or maybe actually it's more about communicating with others, finding it difficult to make friends. And autism fits into that category as well. And then the last one is sensory and physical, maybe a physical disability or sensory difficulties like a hearing impairment or vision impairment. So who has additional needs? So there are at least 148 students in this school, and those are the people we know about. Sometimes things go undiagnosed, so then there could be more. At least 10 members of staff. And I didn't get a chance to ask everybody, so there's probably a lot more. But some members of staff were really open and happy for me to share with you. So Mr. Paris and Miss Stubbs were very open about having dyslexia, and Miss Walsh was open about having OCD. And then many well-known celebrities, and assemblies I've done in the past have gone into more detail about the celebrities. But just to name a few, so Rose Ayling-Ellis, who won Strictly Come Dancing this year, has a hearing impairment. Simone Biles, the famous gymnast, has ADHD. And Greta Thunberg, the famous climate activist, has autism. And what we're going to do now is we're going to hear from one of our students about their experiences. And apologies, it wouldn't let me embed it in the PowerPoint. So be patient with me. Here we go. Please can you introduce yourself for the assembly?
Hi, I'm Kai. I'm a Year 13 student and Deputy Head.
And please can you tell me a little bit about your history in terms of SEN?
So in 2012, I was diagnosed with attention deficit hyperactive disorder, or ADHD, and Asperger's, which is part of autism spectrum disorder.
And how do you feel about those diagnoses?
At first, I didn't really understand what that meant. For me, it was just like this nebulous term. But as I've grown up, I've been able to see how the way I act is reflected in my diagnosis, and it's made me understand more of who I am.
And what are your proudest achievements?
I think my proudest academic achievement is becoming deputy head. Because when I first joined, I wasn't even there from the start of year 7. I joined in later as an external. However, over the years, I've been able to fit in at Bridge, become familiar with the teachers, the students, and I've been able to prove myself to become a deputy.
And what support have you needed for your diagnosis of ADHD and autism?
So back when I was younger, I needed people in class to help me with paying attention and organisation. As I've grown up, I've been able to take on that responsibility for myself. And so I think that's quite a big thing for me.
And what message would you like to give other students?
As cool as it sounds, don't give up on yourself. When you're in year 7, it can feel like this is who I am and this is how I'm stuck. I won't be able to fit in, or I won't be able to keep up with everyone else. However, you will get better and you will be able to take on with yourself. And if you need it, there's always going to be help available for you. So, you can always become who you want to be.
Brilliant. So thanks to Kai there, and we're now going to hear from Miss Poole.
Please can you introduce yourself for this assembly? Hi, I am Miss Poole. I am one of the assistant vice principals and I am also an English teacher. Please can you tell me a little about your history in terms of SEN? So I wasn't actually diagnosed with dyslexia until I was a bit older. I was diagnosed at university. When I was younger, I'd always really struggled with my spelling, which was really out of keeping with how I was kind of doing across the rest of schooling. And my mum had a similar problem. So she had been quite badly dyslexic, although when she was growing up, it kind of wasn't diagnosed, but she had been expelled from 3 schools because of the kind of like the conflict that came around it, and ended up having to go to a public school. So there was a history of it in the family, but because I'm a little bit older, it wasn't really identified until I was older, and it wasn't identified at all in my mum.
And how do you feel about your diagnosis of dyslexia?
When I found out, it did explain things like I can't spell. I really struggle with vowel sounds because I can't differentiate them. So I will spell words like definitely and experience differently every time I write them, because if there's clumps of vowels in the middle, then it doesn't work for me at all. The other thing it did was help me, I think, to understand why I have like a really bad, I've got a terrible short-term memory, like really bad, and I have to write everything down, and that helped to explain that. And it also helped to explain why I really struggle when there's noise in the background to work. Like I have to work in total silence, so I can't concentrate, and that was because the way I process language is different. So the part of my brain that processes written language is a different part of my brain to the bit that processes spoken language, which is different. So for most people, they process all language, written and spoken, in the same part of their brain. So that's why I can't concentrate on those noise.
And what are your proudest achievements?
Definitely being an English teacher, I absolutely love it. And I think that obviously I found out a bit later, but I think that in some ways that helped. It helped me to understand me better, but it meant that I hadn't got any preconceptions about what I could achieve and what I couldn't do. And I definitely think that like studying English at university, and really enjoying it, doing, if I do say so myself very well, I was really proud of. I was really proud.
And what message would you like to give students?
Personally, I think that dyslexia is nothing to worry about. So one of the big things that's happening in the dyslexia community at the moment is people are trying to really get people not to think of dyslexia as a problem, but rather as just a different way of thinking. So the term that people use is neurodivergent. So you think your brain operates in a slightly different way, and it's not a worse way, it's just different. So for me, having dyslexia, yes, I can't spell, but equally I have a brilliant long-term memory, which is part of the way my brain functions. Because of the way I process information, it means I'm really good at seeing a problem holistically and from lots of different directions. I can read really, really fast because I don't process language in the same way. I see words as symbols, which means I can read really, really quickly. And so there's lots of myths about dyslexia and that it's a problem and it's something that has to be fixed. But for me, certainly, it just means that I think slightly differently, and I think that that's a strength rather than a weakness.
Thank you. So thank you to Miss Poole and Kai there. Just to finish, just want to explain that when we talk about additional needs, quite often when we talk about autism, it is spoken about as being on a spectrum. And that is the case with lots of different types of additional need. You might have an additional need or just need, there's just something you find more difficult, but actually you don't need any support for it. And it might be that actually, or you're somewhere in the middle of the spectrum where you've got something you find difficult and you just need a bit of support. And it goes all the way along to people who need a lot of support, possibly lifelong. But it doesn't necessarily mean if you have SEN that you need a lot of support. So thank you so much for listening today. If you have any questions, you can always find me around school.